Welcome back to First Moveable Guitar Chords. This book focuses on 8 movable chord shapes. We're on page 20 and our new song is My Haven. Really, it's My Blue Heaven, but I can't use the melody for that for copyright reasons. However, you can't copyright chords. You can watch all these videos for free, but it's going to be a lot easier to learn if you have your own copy of First Moveable Guitar Chords that you can read from and write in. Plus, you can help support a music teacher, so I'll leave a link in the description. Number 31 on page 20 does not have those string numbers in the boxes telling us what string to play our movable chords on. It's up to us to figure that out for ourselves. And sometimes there will be a couple good choices, sometimes there is really just one good choice. But we're going to go through the same process we've been going through the whole way, finding our root notes, putting chords to those root notes. And one goal overall is to try to keep our chords as close to each other as possible on the fretboard. We begin with a G major. There are a couple places where we could find a root note G. One would be at the 3rd fret on string 6, and the other would be at the 10th fret on the 5th string. That 3rd fret is going to be a little more practical, so that's where we'll play our G root note for our G major chord, and because our root note is on the 6th string, we play our 6th string major shape. Next we want to play an E7, and we want to find a close one to that G. The closest one really would be our open E7, but this is all about movable chords, so we want to find another root note other than an open string. The closest one will be at the 7th fret on string 5. The next one will be way up at the 12th fret on string 6. So 7th fret on string 5 is our root. This is an E7, so we're going to use our 5th string dominant 7 shape, placing our root note, in this case the 3rd finger, on that E to make it an E7. Line 2, there's an A7. We want to find a closest A root note, and there's a very close one right there at the 5th fret on string 6. And because that's a 7th chord, we're going to play our 6th string dominant 7 shape. Then we have a D7. There's a very close D to this A. That's also at the 5th fret on the 5th string. And that's another 7th chord like you played with your E7, so that'll be that same 5th string 7th chord or dominant 7 shape with a root note there at the 5th fret. Back to the same G we played earlier, back to that D7. Once you've figured out how you're going to play those chords in the first couple lines, it's not a bad idea to just cycle through the chords. Don't worry about a strumming pattern or anything like that. Just play chord by chord. G major chord, E7, A7, D7, G, and D7. And you could cycle through that a couple times if you like. Lines 3 and 4 are the same as lines 1 and 2 except for the last measure. The end of line 2, we end on a D7. The end of line 4, our chord is G7. Right before that G7, we have a G major, which we're playing at the 3rd fret on 6th string. So of course you can use that same root note for the G7, 3rd fret, 6th string, only now you'll be playing the 6th string dominant 7 shape. And then we move to lines 5 and 6. Line 5, we have a C major. We just got done playing a G7 at the 3rd fret on the 6th string. Our closest C is at the 5th string, 3rd fret, and that will be the major shape with the root on the 5th string. And then we can move back to that same E7 you played earlier with the root on the 5th string at the 7th fret. And then we have an A minor. Now earlier you played an A7 with the root note A on string 6 fret 5. So we use that same root note, except now we're just playing the 6th string minor shape. Next line, we move to a D7, the same D7 you played before, to the same G you played before, back to that same D7. Lines 5 and 6 are a little different than the other lines, so let's cycle through these chords as well. We have C major, E7, A minor, moving to D7, G, and D7. The last two lines are like the first two lines, except we don't end on a D7 or a G7, we just end on a quarter note G. So once you've figured out how to play all these chords, go ahead and play through the song. Play it as slowly as you need to. It's more about being steady and finding these chords. The speed will come with time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Your assignment is to practice My Haven on page 20, and don't forget to order your own copy of First Moveable Guitar Chords. I'll leave a link in the description. Take your time with this, and then when you're ready, I'll see you on page 21 with a new song, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen.